So Kevin Stefanski talks about what he's learned about Kenny Pickett and also what he's seen from him.
I'm really excited about what Kenny brings to the team. He's a guy that works extremely hard at his craft. I love the way he thinks about the game. He's very, very tough. So he's doing a nice job. As you can imagine, with quarterbacks or any position, we're throwing a lot at these guys, and I think he's handling it really well. I think every player is, their career has different twists and turns to it. Certainly, I've seen that in my time, just with different players at every position, and you need the right people around you to have some success. So Kenny is a young football player. I mean, this is year 4 for him. He just won the Super Bowl last season watching, and playing, but certainly seeing how it's done at an extremely high level and in a different way, different system, those type of things, but still a young player that I think has a lot left to go in his career.
And again, Tim, I'm not saying he's going to be the starter, but there seems to be this perception that it's Flacco's job and to lose, and I don't see that. I think those two are going to be given equal opportunities to win the starting job.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like based on, all the reporting that's come out of Berea since the Browns took Shadur Sanders, that is going to be as much of an open four-man competition as you could possibly have. If they're breaking out to this passing camp style where they're going two guys together with a group of receivers, in 7-on-7 situations and passing drills, they're going to do everything in their power to certainly make this as even of a quarterback competition as you could possibly have. Now, that said, obviously Pickett and Flacco have an advantage naturally because they've played a lot of football. Joe Flacco's got a Super Bowl ring, and Kenny Pickett has had plenty of experience as a starting quarterback. So certainly by that margin, by that fact alone, these two guys are going to have an edge. And I feel like because Kenny Pickett has been a safer quarterback in terms of not throwing a lot of interceptions, I could see the appeal of that to a Browns team that has turned the ball over a ton the last 2 seasons. And just by the ability to protect the football, Kenny Pickett obviously is not going to throw a lot of touchdowns, but he's also not going to necessarily put you in a bad position by turning the football over. That was something that was clearly emphasized in Pittsburgh, that they've been emphasizing for years on protecting the football. So you would have to imagine that's going to carry over to Cleveland, and you could see the appeal of that. Is it going to translate to success and points? We're going to have to see how that plays out. But certainly he's learned a lot, and of course we all know what Joe Flacco did at the end of 2023 in Cleveland. So I mean, it's hard not to look at those two guys based on just the fact that they've been there and done that as starters, former starters in the NFL, and say that either of those two guys looks like a favorite right now as we continue through OTAs.
And to your point, you could argue that the defense, the defense is by far the strength of this team. So the quarterback play, one way to elevate the quarterback play, and there's a lot of ways to elevate the quarterback play we've seen, but one way is to not put the defense in a bad spot, which they did repeatedly last year.
Yeah, I feel like that's a fact about last season that gets lost a lot. People say, the defense took a step back and did not look good. Yeah, it didn't look good last year. It didn't look nearly as good as in 2023, but I've been saying this a ton over this last offseason. The biggest reason the Browns went 3-14 is because they arguably had the 2 worst quarterbacks in football starting the vast majority of their games with Deshaun Watson and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. When you make the mistakes those guys did with turnovers and not even getting first downs, the fact that they were so bad on third down. When you put a defense in a bad position, it doesn't matter how good a defense is. It could be the 85 Bears, the 2000 Ravens, any of the New England Patriots defenses in the early days of Tom Brady. It doesn't matter how good a defense is. They're going to wear down over the course of a game if they don't get rest, if they feel the pressure to not give up anything. That ultimately has a negative effect on the defense. So some people say sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and I think that has to apply in this situation. That no matter who's the quarterback for the Browns, you got to be able to put up some points, if nothing else, just to keep the defense from feeling like it has to keep teams somehow to single digits, which we know in today's NFL is almost impossible.